The first word is attenuate. Attenuate means to reduce in size, in force, in value, in amount or degree, right? That is to weaken, to lighten, to lessen, to decrease, to diminish, to sometimes it could mean to impair, right? To impair something, that is to enervate, that is attenuate, okay? That is attenuate. The opposite would be definitely, you see, when you intensify, exaggerate, amplify, you strengthen, you fortify, F-O-R-T-I-F-I, fortify something, then that would be the opposite. Attenuate is actually making something thin, okay? So you have an example here. By withdrawing their forces, the generals hope to attenuate the enemy lines, right? That is to weaken the enemy lines, to lighten the enemy line. Radiation from the sun is attenuated by the Earth's atmosphere. Radiation from the sun is weakened. It is it grows thin when it comes through the atmosphere. It is weakened, lightened, decreased, reduced in force. Avarice. Avarice is extreme greed for wealth or material gain. You see, greediness for wealth, for material gain. It could be rapacity, it could be cupidity, covetousness, right? If you covet, C-O-V-E-T, you have a money-grabbing tendency. That is avarice. One of these seven deadly sins in Christianity. The opposite would be, of course, generosity, munificence, magnificence, being noble, right? Being large-hearted. That is the opposite. We have given an example here. Driven by avarice, he ruthlessly exploited his workers. That is driven by the greediness for wealth. Her business empire brought her wealth beyond the dreams of avarice. That is, brought her wealth beyond the dreams of avarice. That is an extremely large amount of money. She must have dreamt about a lot of money. Bane. Bane is the cause, the ruin, right? The cause, the ruin. The synonyms would be scourge, curse, affliction, right? And you say it is the bane of Indian politics. Something is the bane of Indian society. You say dowry is the bane of Indian society, right? He has given you an example here. For instance, he says that cat is the bane of my life. That is, it's a problem. It causes, it's a curse. It's an affliction. It's a scourge. It causes ruin. The cat is the bane of my life. Keeping noise levels low is the bane of airport administration. Okay, so the airport administration keeps the noise low, and that means that is a scourge, maybe a curse, an affliction. People may not be aware of what's going on or what is the announcement. The antonyms would be something which is advantageous, something which is a boon, something which is beneficial or benefit. That would be the the opposite. Bane there are so many synonyms for bane. It's scourge, ruin, as you saw that. It's pain, distress, torment, hardship, ruination, calamity, despair, misfortune, pest, headache, blight, curse, imprecation. You see, archaically, that is in Old English, bane was something which was poisonous, which caused death, right? So that was known as besmirch. Besmirch is to defile, to say bad things about someone, to influence other people's opinion of them. In ordinary words, it could be defame, scandalize, tarnish, debase, taint, T-A-I-N-T, taint, blemish, B-L-E-M-I-S-H, blemish, to soil, S-O-I-L, soil somebody's reputation, to stain, to sully, S-U-L-L-Y, sully, to blacken, to befoul, to smear, to injure, to debase, to spoil, to besmear, to spot somebody's S-P-O-T, spot somebody's character. That is besmirch. So you say that, for instance, he says the scandalous remarks in the newspaper besmirch the reputations of every member of the society. That is, it slanders, it defiles, it scandalizes, it tarnishes, it blemishes, you see, the reputation of people. His accusations were false, but they served to besmirch her reputation. That is, we have another example, that is, it served to defame her, to scandalize her, to blemish her character, tarnish her character, taint her character. Right. The opposite, of course, would be decontaminate, to purge, to purify, to sanitize. That would be the opposite. To honor, to enhance, to decontaminate, to purge somebody's character. That is, speak good of his character. Blithe is joyous, happy, and without worry. Blithe is a specific word showing a casual and cheerful indifference considered to be callous or sometimes even improper. So similar words could be, you see, being happy or carefree. Happy or carefree, that is, the meaning is literary. But the meaning which indicates that you are casual and indifferent, that is what you call a different meaning. There are two different meanings of this word. The literary meaning is happy, cheerful, cheery, light-hearted, jolly, merry, sunny, blissful, ecstatic, euphoric, elated, right? Beatific, gladsome, mirthful, carefree, easygoing, buoyant, airy, breezy, jaunty, sprightly, animated, vivacious, spirited, frisky, jocund, gay. You see, these are all the synonyms of blithe. The opposite would be uptight, tense, sad, sorrowful, unhappy, lackadaisical, lugubrious. So you have a word here, the sentence here, the sight of blithe children among the debris only made the sight more poignant. That is, blithe children around the debris. Blithe children, happy children, without worry. She shows a blithe disregard for danger. A blithe disregard would be, it's not the literary usage. Now it is a usage with which I told you a few minutes back, that is being what you call carefree, careless. She shows a blithe disregard for danger. Bowdlerize, which means removing objectionable text from a writing. Maybe or objectionable things like falsification of history or religion. So that would be Bowdlerizing. You see a text, that is to you censor, you expurgate. These are the two synonyms, to censor, to expurgate. The Education Board is trying to Bowdlerize certain chapters from the textbook of history. Maybe that history is not what you call correct so far as the history of the nation is concerned, country is concerned. So similar words or related words would be expurgate, to censor, to blue pencil, to cut, to edit, to redact, 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 to purge, to clean up, to delete parts of. The opposite would be to approve, to authorize, to sanction, right? The version of the play that I saw had been dreadfully Bowdlerized. That is, parts of the play have been deleted, or they have been redacted or edited and cut out. Brusque means blunt. You see, abrupt, sharp, curt, 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 short, terse, 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 brisk. Sometime it could be clipped, sometime it could be in a gruff manner, caustic manner, tart manner, TART, tart, in an abrasive manner, in an outspoken manner. It could be tactless, undiplomatic, discourteous, impolite, rude, uncivil, offhand, snappish, snappy, churlish. Brusque could mean all these things depending on the sense in which you are using. That is, he spoke in a very brusque manner, rough manner. Could also mean blunt, sharp. The opposite would be gracious, social, polite, courteous. That would be the opposite. And you have a sentence like, she was offended by his brusque reply. Right? So that is the offhand reply, the blunt reply, the terse reply. Okay. His secretary was rather brusque with me, that is impolite, discourteous, blunt, curt, terse. Burgeon is to develop or grow quickly, flourish, accelerate, proliferate, boom. You see, anything can burgeon, a burgeoning business, a burgeoning idea, something expanding, shoot up, swelling, exploding, booming, mushrooming, proliferating, snowballing, multiplying, escalating, rocket, skyrocketing, running riot, that is burgeoning, flourishing, thriving, prospering, that is burgeoning. You say burgeoning business somewhere. The opposite would be something which is stunted, something which is withered, dwindled, diminished, reduce, recede. That would be shrink. That would be the opposite of burgeon, you see. You can even use it figuratively by saying, he gives an example here, love burgeoned between them. That is, love sprouted, grew up, expanded between them. The new factories resulted in burgeoning townships, that is, expanding townships, right? Flourishing townships, booming townships. Cajole means to persuade someone to do something they might not want to do by, say, pleasant talks and sometimes by false promises. So you have words like coax, beguile, flattery, wheedle, inveigle, maneuver, seduce, lure, tempt someone, sweet talk someone to do something, right? Inveigle, inveigle, inveigle. The opposite would be bullying, because now you don't coax, you bully someone, you boss over someone, force someone, you deprecate someone, you warn someone, right? That would be the opposite. For instance, you say, he gives an example, I had to cajole my father to let me drive the car. That is just persuading your father, coaxing him, beguiling him, flattering him, wheedling him. But if you were to do the opposite, you would bully your father. You get angry with your father, boss over your father. He really knows how to cajole people into doing what he wants. That is, he can coax people into doing what he wants, right? Wheedle people into doing what he wants. So that is the meaning here. Castigate, to criticize severely, to chastise, to reprimand, to rebuke, to admonish, to chide, to upbraid, to reprove, to reproach, to scold. Sometimes it could mean that. To pull up, to lambast, to censure, to give a dressing down to someone, to give a piece of your mind, maybe perhaps, to chasten. The king was castigated for his tortures afflicted upon the people, that he was criticized severely for that. Health inspectors castigated the kitchen staff for poor standards of cleanliness. That is, they chastised, they reprimanded, they scolded, they rebuked, they admonished, they criticized severely, they censured. The antonym is commend, to praise, to eulogize, to panegyrize, right? To admire. That was the antonym. Clemency means disposition to be lenient, being clement. Mercy, leniency, they are the synonyms of clemency. There are a few other synonyms you could look for. They are related words. It could be mildness, leniency, indulgence, humanitarianism, charity, magnanimity, benignity, tenderness. They may be, they are more or less related to the word clemens. The opposites are harshness, severity, inclemency, ruthlessness, strictness, callousness. That could be a related antonym. When the Supreme Court upheld the execution decision of the High Court, clemency was prayed to the President of India. That is, a prayer was made for leniency, for mercy. Cogitate is to spend some time thinking very carefully about a subject, to think over, to contemplate, to ponder. You see, cogitate is a formal word. To ponder, to consider, to think over, to dwell on something, to cerebrate. cerebrate, to cerebrate, to ruminate. Sometimes you can use that word, to ruminate, to reflect, to brood over, to deliberate over something, to meditate, to mull over, mull, mull over, to speculate. These are all related words. Well, when you say he has been cogitating, that is, he has been thinking, contemplating, pondering, reflecting, ruminating, considering, deliberating. The antonyms would be disregard, neglect, overlook, slight, reject. That would be the antonym. So he gives you a sentence here. He is sitting there cogitating, reflecting upon the situation. Yes, thinking about the situation. Congenital disease or condition that exists at or from birth. Someone who always shows a particular bad quality right from birth. You see, it's generally used in a negative sense. The congenital, any disease, when you're talking about a disease, when you're talking about some kind of ailment, you say it is innate, it is inborn, It is natural. You see, it is natural. It is inbuilt. It is ingrown. It is deeply seated. It is possibly unlearned. It is inbred. It is in the blood, right? Inherited, inborn. So people might suffer from congenital diseases, and be any kind of disease. The opposite of congenital would be something which is unnatural, something which is cultivated, developed, trained. He says doctors are able to cure some congenital deformities such as cleft palates by performing operations on infants. So that is a congenital deformity that is right from birth. Cupidity, a great desire especially for money or positions. Cupidity is greed, avarice, selfishness, yes, sometimes avarice, the feeling of covetousness, right? Avariciousness or acquisitiveness, money grabbing, right? Rapacity sometimes, that could be what you call a synonym for that. Now, when you are talking about cupidity, you say that the opposite would be contentment, satisfaction, gratification. That would be the opposite. So he says the defeated people could not satisfy the cupidity of the conquerors who demanded excessive tribute. That is the greed, the gluttony. You see, a great desire, a covetousness. Cynosure, a person or thing having a quality of excellence or great beauty which attracts a lot of attention, right? So it would be a benchmark, a pole star, a focus, a lodestar, anything center of attraction. That could be a person also. The antonym then would be someone who is a commoner, who is a nobody, who is an obscurity, who is a non-entity. So you say as soon as the movie star entered the room, she becomes the cynosure of all eyes. That is, she becomes the center of attraction, right? The focus, the pole star, the benchmark of all the people there. Debacle. Well, the right pronunciation is debacle or debacle, right? That is the right pronunciation. The difference between the UK and the US way of pronouncing the word. A debacle is a complete failure, especially because of bad planning and organization. So it is a fiasco. It is a cataclysm. It is what you call, it's a cataclysm. It is a complete failure. That is a debacle. What other words can you talk about it? It could be a fiasco. It could be a failure. It could be a catastrophe, a disaster, a defeat, a trouncing, right? A rout, an overthrow, a ruin, a downfall, or collapse. These are all related words, you see. The opposite, of course, would be elevate, to enhance, something which is a success, right? So in contravention to the hope, the ruling party had a debacle in the state, that is a failure, a cataclysm. Antonyms like accomplishment, attainment, blessing, creation, miracle, rise, success, triumph. The next word is demise, and demise in ordinary term means a death, a termination, an end. It could be demise of anything. It could be the sad demise of a person. It could be a demise of a policy. It could be a demise of an act. You say with the demise of the bullock cart system in India, people have started now traveling in trains and buses. So even a business, as he points out, the end of something that was previously considered to be powerful, such as a business, industry or system. So the death of it, the end of it, a passing, an expiration, an expiry, a quietus, 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 decease, that is to die, expire, dying. The opposite would be to birth, creation, formation. That would be the opposite. So he says the demise of the company was sudden and unexpected. Yes, the demise was unexpected. The end, the termination of the company, right? The closing down of the company. Despondent. Despondent means unhappy, discouraged, because you feel you are in a difficult situation. The synonyms are gloomy, depressed, disheartened. It could be disheartened, discouraged, dispirited, downhearted, downcast, cast down, hopeless, crestfallen, low, disconsolate, despairing, wretched, oppressed, melancholic, gloomy, glum, morose, M-O-R-O-S-E, morose, right? Doleful, dismal, woebegone, miserable, You see, they're all related words with despondent, right? Dejected, distressed, sorrowful, sad, defeatist, pessimistic. The opposites would be ecstatic, right? Elated, exuberant, full of spirits, right? Ebullience, EBULLIENCE, ebullience. That would be the opposite of what you call despondent. He grew increasingly despondent when she failed to return his phone calls. Yeah. Sad, gloomy, depressed. Vilify, to say or write unpleasant things about someone, to form a bad opinion about him. That is to slander, to malign, to denigrate, to libel, to disparage, to defame, to belittle, to berate, to run down someone, to slight someone, right? To stigmatize someone, to discredit someone, to calumniate, CALUMNIATE, to calumniate, to impugn, 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 right? To badmouth someone, to derogate someone, to censure, to speak ill of, to cast aspersions, to revile. The antonym would be to compliment, to praise, to laud, 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 to applaud, to commend, to lionize, to prioritize, to valorize. If you praise, to eulogize, to panegyrize, to admire. Dirty politicians do not hesitate to vilify the opponent's prestige, that is, to slander, to speak ill of his prestige. Vintner, and it simply means seller of wine. It's a very simple word, and the synonyms is just winemaker, right? You don't have an antonym because you can't just obviously think of an antonym for vintner. To the vintners, the symptoms of the grapevine disease looked familiar and unspecific. So the seller of wine, you see, they could possibly identify the grapevine disease. So that is the meaning here. Vintner is the seller of wine.